Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostic 80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
Perfect! That's the best one we've ever done, ever. 100%. There wasn't even a delay. There wasn't even a pause.
I knew to breathe in and hold my breath so that I wasn't on an out breath and needing to gasp as it was my time. So I was all ready and prepared.
The Full Force Weekly.
It's the Full Force Weekly.
Well,
I've done that a couple times.
What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
There you go. That was the exact breathe in moment. Yeah, okay, well, again, it's been a light week, but we still got 4 stories out of it. How did that happen this week? Quite impressive, in actual fact. G.I. Joe is still going strong, believe it or not, and Pat and I are here to give you all of the news. So, Pat, how are you feeling this week, buddy?
I'm feeling okay, actually. I don't know. Just okay. How about yourself?
You're about here, I'm about there. So
a little better than okay, that's good.
A little better than okay, yeah. Just getting by, I guess. But yeah, so, okay, well, let's get stuck into the news then, because, there's so much of it. In Pinfinity news, yes, last weekend, Pinfinity dropped pre-orders for their G.I. Joe branded augmented reality metal pins, featuring the first 2 characters in the range, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. The pins themselves feature art directly from the original file cards for Snake Eyes version 2 and Storm Shadow version 1. Using the Pinfinity app, you can scan the pins to reveal some fun augmented reality features, including the character's file card and card back, and by tapping the card you can flip it to view the other side. The user can download a mobile phone wallpaper of the faction symbol of the character and a hidden mobile phone wallpaper of the character as well, which is unlocked by touching the cross-cell image of that scanned character. Based on the unlocked cardback artwork, it is very likely that we will also see Duke, Scarlet, Cobra Commander, Baroness, Cobra Officer and Destro included in the range in the future. You can download the Pinfinity app from the Google Store and the Apple App Store. You can pre-order each pin for $12.99 each or bundle them together for a discount. All links in the description below. They should ship by mid-August. Pat, I was getting a bit worried at the lack of merch for the past few weeks, but it looks like we are ramping up again. Are you into these at all?
I think they're nice. I think I'm not going to be buying them myself, but I appreciate the fact that they are out there. It seems like there are a lot of pins in the market lately. There's becoming a really big market for pins. So I think it's cool that they're doing these and that they do a little bit more than just be a pin. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a fun gimmick. I'm not, I'm probably going to say something very controversial here, but after a while, I feel like the vintage aesthetic does start to kind of get watered down a little bit by everybody doing almost exactly the same thing. And, it's cool, yeah, I love the gimmick, I think it's really cute, but effectively you're just looking at a card back that you've seen forever. It's slightly different, and that there's obviously, it's had some of the artwork has been kind of slightly altered, slightly kind of rendered, shall we say. And you've also got a fun feature where it kind of gives you a fake action figure and Timber as well, if you got the Snake Eyes one, on the front side of the card. So that's kind of cute and everything. But then the file card. I must have read and seen that file card more than any other file card in the history of file cards. I'll stop saying file cards. But I'm getting to the point now where how many more times can we see the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow card backs? Do you know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. And it's almost like if it deviates though from that, it's just kind of a little bit annoying that it's not the original very nice, card art that I don't want to be altered in any way or not in a good resolution or whatever it may be. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, because obviously, it's kind of a bit sacrilegious to kind of say anything against, the kind of vintage card art, which I do adore. And obviously, you've got Hector Garrido, who did an amazing job. and multiple other artists that kind of did a lot of that stuff too on the card backs. But like, I think it's just seeing it so much over and over again in every single facet. We've got the retro line. We've got the even ridiculous things like the kind of not knockoff because it's official product, but the brick building kind of like little sets, right? Using the retro card backs, using the retro box art, I should say, in that sense. But like, you see it so often, and I know people clamor for it, and there has also been like a lot of, I would say, negative response when anything new is done. It's always like compared to the old, isn't it? Like, it's always like, well, it's not the original retro card back stuff, so like, I wonder how much more of the... And I'm just looking at the Jada, Duke, and Vamp, and that is, again, the All Striker artwork on black, with the explosion, all very, very retro and vintage. And I get to the point, like... And but the other thing is, I don't know what else they would do. Like, some companies have tried to do a little mixing it up a little bit. I quite like the Mego box that they've done for that, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. But like, would you like to see something different, or do you think, they, or I mean, what do you want to see on these licensed products?
I kind of think that these need to be the vintage art. I think that it would be neat to see some new stuff incorporated in there as well. Not quite sure what exactly.
I know, yeah.
The approach that they're taking with the classified series is to have a different artist on each package, which I think is working out because of the fact that, it's not like we're ever going to notice that there's some major change in things. You won't be looking at a package and going, well, that's not right. It doesn't match the way the art has been, because the entire idea of it is that it's constantly changing. So maybe they could do something with that, but I think for what these are, it makes sense for them to be the vintage art style. There was one time whenever I was in Walmart, actually, during the 25th series, and I will never forget seeing a kid who was probably about 12, walking at a decent speed through the toy aisle, and it must have been the corner of his eye that art caught, because he did one of those deals where you're walking and then you just kind of swing because something catches your eye. And it was the G.I. Joe stuff. He started looking at the figures.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you had a hook or something and you poked him in the eye and tugged him around.
No, I forced him. I grabbed him by the head and was like, "Look, G.I. Joe kid. I don't know where you're going, but there's nothing better than this."
I need to pee, mister.
No, but
do it here in front of the G.I. Joe stuff. Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
It definitely meant to me that, and even though those were altered from the original art, that original art and original art style still is very catchy for somebody's eye. And it's interesting because these have just the portion that would appear in the file card.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not using it too much, other than I guess.
Well, you do see the card. You do see the front of the card as well when you like start interacting with it. You see the whole card back, front and back.
Right, but it's only when you start interacting with it. Like, it's not going to be placed on a shelf in the store and seeing that card art.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit weird, maybe, that the bonus is something that we've gotten dozens of times already.
I think for me, it's just a bit of fatigue in seeing the same thing over and over again, because it just seems to be that's the default for even the licensed merchandise. It seems to be, let's just do what has come before. And like, we'll get to something a little bit later on which does a slightly different thing, which I quite enjoy. It's more homage than it is, a direct copy of, if that makes sense. But we'll get to that a little bit later on. I am actually getting these pins, but only because I really like. I think they're really cool. I tell you, the only thing I think that they could really do to make it slightly fresher is to use different versions of the characters, and we get to see some of the card art that we haven't seen so often.
Like 89 Snake Eyes.
I knew you were going to say 89 Snake Eyes. I was going to say 90 one Snake Eyes. No, I totally would be down for seeing something like, you know, a different version of the character. And also, I think the other problem is it's always the same 4 characters because you never get beyond that lineup of the core. And I get it and I understand. It's just like, it's just a real crappy byproduct, isn't it, of these short-term, like, loan license type deal agreements.
Yeah, right. I mean, the art's, I'm sure, provided to them within the licensing agreement, and I don't know what else they could provide. Maybe this is one of those situations where, you know, it may be easy to go and complain a bit, but can I come up with a better idea?
No.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is the fact that I think if it went longer and we had more characters, it would be a lot fresher to look at. You know, like I would get over the kind of vintage aesthetic because I'd be looking at different artwork. And I think that is one of the things I'm just, you know, like I'm getting to the point now where I want. And I think that's why I love, like you say, like Classified. It's why I love Classified so much, is because it's so different each time. Like you get 2 completely different characters, 3 completely different characters, whatever it may be. And it's different art, it's different design, it's different everything. And you kind of, I don't know, I just kind of like that aspect. It's like something new and fresh. And I think that's also good. But, you know, I shouldn't complain because we want this to happen too. We want this stuff out and we want all of these, you know, this retro-inspired artwork all over the place. So it's, I don't know, two-edged sword, I guess, at this stage. But that's the pins. That's the Pinfinity pins. Let's move on to the next news item, which is in Kotobukiya news. Now, we've discussed this kind of to death, but pre-orders for the new Kotobukiya Bishuju Dawn Moreno statue went up this week on all the usual platforms. Dawn is the 4th character to be immortalised in Bishuju form, joining Scarlet, Lady J and the Baroness in the line, as well as a few alternate decos for each. I wonder if we'll see a redeco of Dawn in some homage to another Snake Eyes costume design in the future. I know you're thinking 89 like immediately. The design is based on new concept art by Shunya Yamashita and sculpted by Takaboku Busujima, aka Busujimax. It's about 9 inches tall, made of PVC, and will cost $130, with shipping estimated for April of next year. Now, Pat, we have talked about this, obviously, ad infinitum. There's a few kind of things I suppose we could mention here. Slight differences in the appearance. Now they did have, I think, like these little like red boots, I think, on it before, like red parts on the boots. That's been removed. So now they're all just black boots. Effectively, it's the same figure, the same statue we've been looking at. Any differences in opinions since we spoke about it last time?
No, I don't really have anything new to say. But it is interesting that you bring up the potential of a repaint because they keep on doing repaints.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'll do. Did they do like a Cobra Mortal Dawn? Wouldn't really make sense to me.
They'll just give her a grey visor and it'll be or grey lipstick and
maybe
it'll be
like
Stalker.
a Dead Game where they would maybe reverse the reds and the blacks.
Ooh, good shout.
I don't think that an 89 Dawn would make sense because that would mean that, you know, Snake Eyes stole the clothes off of 3 guys that were working for Cobra,
washed them,
wore them out, wore them into battle for a long time, and then handed them down.
He washed them, they shrunk, and they fit Dawn now. Yeah. It would probably that I would say that outfit would probably go a bit better with the stylistic approach of the Bishuju statues.
Maybe. At that point, you know, they would have to be retooling things, though. They're not going to do that.
It'll just be, they'll stick the Dawn head on the Baroness body. Done. Just paint over the Cobra
Stick
logo.
a couple of swords there on her chest, or the knives.
Yeah, you're right. 89 would effectively be a re-sculpt of that. So it would just be like, no, this is a repaint. But I'll tell you what,
I don't know.
That is a
good
shout with the Dead Game, mate. Making her like all red would be probably their only option at this stage. Like I can't, you know, and like, yeah, it's not like they're going to homage the 91 version. They're going to give her like grey, blue, red visor. They're not going to do any of that. But I could definitely see a red version of that figure, of that statue, I should say. What do you want, listeners/viewers? We won't read them out. We just want to know what you think. Yeah, I mean, that is pretty much it for Dawn. We have discussed kind of, in previous shows. I'm also not going to be getting this, but it's really cool that Dawn's actually got finally some sort of, I don't know, figure in some way, shape or form. I'm very hopeful that we see her soon in other lines, but again, like, it's not going to be Super 7 just yet, is it?
No, and the fact that she doesn't have existing card art makes me wonder if she's going to fit within the retro line.
That would be difficult. Yeah, true.
I would rather have her though as a 4-inch figure than as a 6-inch.
Possibly then some sort of exclusive, like an SDCC or New York Comic Con or something along those lines. Yeah. Where they could change the deluxe packaging and all that.
We were kind of hoping with the hype of the Snake Eyes movie that there'd be a spot for her somewhere, and that didn't happen. So who knows? But there's always hype for Snake Eyes, and she would just kind of fit into the GI Joe line at any point.
I'd love her in Classified too. I think that'd be pretty dope. But we'll see. Sure. We'll see what happens. Anyway, let's move on then. And again, in some more classic, we're probably not going to buy this news. Disguise Costumes have revealed 2 new Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow Halloween costumes exclusive to Walmart for G.I. Joe. The line is called Retro, features classified artwork on the packaging with designs straight out of the vintage line for Snake Eyes version 2 and Storm Shadow version 1. They cost $19.97 each, and you can get them in store or order online on Walmart's website, links in the description. They feature fake muscles and detailing that highlights aspects of the original designs, such as fake weapons and grenade belts, etc. Pat, what do you think about these?
I like how you lead in with that we're probably not buying these either to mask the fact that you've already pre-ordered them.
I haven't, I swear. I will, however, be buying the adult size costumes of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, though. Definitely.
What I actually think of these is Snake Eyes has more of the helmet look, which I think is a little weird.
Yeah, it's like a retaliate, or it's like it's a movie helmet with a version 2 body, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's very strange to me. I mean, this is a little bit of that. You get what you paid for, and for $20, that's a pretty good price to just hand it to a kid, and for them to feel like Snake Eyes or Storm Shadow, if that's what they're into. I think for what they are, it's good.
I would have loved that as a kid.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we didn't, or I never saw anyway in the UK any of the dress up stuff. I know there was a couple of bits of merchandise for G.I. Joe dress up, and they had the masks and they had all that kind of stuff. But I very rarely saw any of it in the UK. I'm pretty sure we did have a dress up set though, and again, but most of the time it was like, weapons and belts and things like that, and walkie-talkies. And gloves. I don't necessarily remember ever seeing any of the dress-up stuff, and I would have loved that. And as a kid, with this Snake Eyes costume, I'd have never taken the bloody thing off.
Well, there was a different approach to Halloween stuff back whenever I was younger anyway. It was always, just the front of the mask with the string, and then the plastic smock and I never got one of those as a kid. Never wanted one. Can
I tell you what I did get as a kid? And I'll flash up the images of it.
What's that?
Stormtrooper costume with it was the most hilarious lightsaber I've ever seen. It's just a big red flashlight with a plastic tube attached to it. Bloody great.
And it was a stormtrooper with a lightsaber.
A stormtrooper with a lightsaber. So
it was like Concept Macquarie.
Yes. Yes. It was I can't remember. I feel like it was a plastic shell of a helmet that went all over. It wasn't just the front, it was just an all over job, I believe. I think I might be misremembering, but it was like, that was cool. And then this just white shawl with the pattern of the Stormtrooper thing on the front of it. And I've got pictures of me holding this bloody chunky lightsaber, wearing this. I can't even remember if they came together. I'm sure they did come together. It might have been that they bought my mum and dad bought the lightsaber separately, but I think they all came together in a package. And I've got pictures of me doing that in the living room in Coltishall, I think I lived. Again, that won't make much sense to anyone. Even in the UK, they probably won't even recognise that name. And My dad, it was a Royal Air Force base where we were living at the time, and on the side, on the couch, is a speeder bike. So it's I have very few images of me with my toys at Christmas and stuff. So I really do hold on to those ones I do have, and so I did have that, but never G.I. Joe stuff. And I would have honestly. The Storm Shadow one as well. I just would have been wearing them all the time. And also the big thing in the UK, Halloween wasn't a big deal in the UK for me growing up. It just wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a thing like it is in the States. And we still had trick or treat and so on and so forth. But it was just that one night, and you go out unsupervised as well, which was mental when I think about it nowadays. And you just go house to house getting candy, but it wasn't and sweets we call them, and it wasn't even a big deal at all. I guess maybe some places might have been a bit bigger, but honestly, it just wasn't a thing in the UK when I was a kid.
Yeah, for me, I lived out in the country, so it was half a mile to the next house. So walking from house to house, even supervised,
you'd have died in a different way. You'd have died of exposure, let alone.
So Halloween for me was always a community party at the fire hall kind of event, which was fun. They definitely did a good job with that in the area, but never was there something like this on the market. So for $20, this is certainly a good deal. I think that as a kid, if I'd had one, it probably would have been the Storm Shadow one.
Yeah.
And it would have been difficult to convince me that I had to wear shoes outside. I would have been trying to rock the socks outside for sure.
Agreed. We can both be fully agreed on that. And at some point, I would have tried to draw digital camo on mine. Definitely ruined it. But I would probably have done that with a marker pen or something.
I probably would have also been annoyed at the permanent throwing stars and knife that are in the belt that are printed on.
Yeah,
because I would want those to be removable. But again,
I think they're
pretty good.
I think they're half on, half off, felt type things. I don't even think they're I don't know. I'll have to have a closer look on some of those. But I know the knife.
They were just printed on along with the rest of everything.
I know that Snake Eyes thing, his knife is attached to the costume, but it's a separate piece.
Okay.
So that's pretty.
That'd be cool if it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell you, all right, okay. Here's a question for you, Pat. As a child, you're given the ultimate dream dress, G.I. Joe dream dress up for a Halloween kind of maybe party, or you're doing your half a mile round trip to the one house trick or treat. What are you going as? What character are you doing?
I'm going to go as Flash. As a kid, that's who I would have wanted.
Out of nowhere. Oh, no, actually, no, you do like Flash.
Well, you're asking me what I would have wanted as a kid. As a kid, it would have been Flash or Ace.
I say out of nowhere, but that Flash has come up a few times, so yeah.
And then I pictured myself having trouble breathing inside Ace's helmet, so I went with Flash.
Ace would be wicked, actually, especially that action figure version with the big bowl. Oh, that would be so good. So good. I would say definitely version 2 Storm Shadow would be my ultimate. I'd have felt so badass. Yeah, I'm not wearing sneakers, Mom. No, I'm wearing socks, and I'm poking a little gap between my toe and my big toe and my next toe, so it looks like I'm wearing ninja socks, because that's how I roll. Anyway. So, next up then, in Mini-Mates news... Diamond Select Toys have revealed the packaging for their G.I. Joe Mini-Mates 4-pack box set, and it's pretty cool. The taller box design features an opening front door with the previously revealed Marvel Comic Issue 1 inspired artwork that reveals a window to easily view the 4 minifigures of Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Storm Shadow and Cobra Commander. The interior of the door has the 4 characters' file cards on show as well, which is another really great touch. The design reminds me of the vintage mini playset boxes like the Checkpoint and so on, with the elongated box and peg hook. I must say I was impressed with the figures when they were revealed, but the packaging is the cherry on the icing on the cake for me, and I cannot wait to get mine from BBTS. Link in the description if any of you have changed your minds. I really hope this leads to more characters in the line, because I need a Lightfoot in Wave 358. Yeah, I know that's not going to happen. The box art hints at Duke and Roadblock though, so at the very least I hope they get those two out in some way, shape or form. Pat, what do you think about this packaging? And obviously rewinding back to our first chat and me moaning about retro packaging, and this is what I was getting at, slight rejig here.
Well, yeah, this is a call out to the retro packaging, but it is also new. So I think that it works. I think that they did a nice job with it. The way that the box opens and there's the layout of these being taller than they are wide.
Yeah.
Functions well for 4 file cards to just kind of fit right in there whenever you open it. And it's the style of the file cards, but I don't think that all the writing is in there, and it doesn't need to be because we've read it a million times.
I was going to say.
And simplified for a simplified figure makes a lot of sense. It's good. I already had these on pre-order because mini-mates have been around since the early 2000s.
Oh yeah, a long time.
It's definitely a toy line with a long legacy. So to see G.I. Joe added to it, I actually thought was really cool, and I pre-ordered them. Do you think that the packaging art, though, means that we are getting... I almost can picture the next 4-pack of these. How about yourself?
I'm going to say, and just stop me if I'm wrong at any point, Duke, Roadblock, Destro, Baroness.
Yeah, that's the 4 that I already had pictured.
Flash,
it just seems
Lightfoot,
like it makes sense.
Ace,
Right.
and version 2 Storm Shadow. 89 Snake Eyes. No, yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be the core, isn't it? And it's going to be the next 4. And you'll probably have a similar artwork where it kind of exposes the other aspect of it. Maybe it's like a side-by-side piece where you've got like a enemy vehicle and you've got, you know, like one of the major characters, one of the, like Duke or something like... Well, actually, Duke and Roadblock are already on the art, so it'll probably be Destro in the background with the Baroness and, you know, yeah. So that's what I agree with you. I think it's going to be like a continuation of what we've kind of seen on that artwork as well.
Yeah, I think the only criticism, if I had any, because they actually said, hey, what do you think of this? Please let us know. When are they posted these? Is that the area behind the figures isn't quite bright enough. Scarlet's belt and Snake Eyes just kind of get lost visually in the dark background. So if they could brighten that up a little bit so that, you know, all the parts can be seen while they're in the package and enjoyed sealed, I think that'd be the only thing that I would change. Maybe
a big explosion in the background like everyone else has done probably would have worked.
Right.
No, I agree with that. I definitely, you want the figures when they're in window packaging, you want them to actually like pop out as well. You don't want them to be like, you know, merged, like camouflaged in, unless it's a NECA Predator and that's the actual point of it. You know, for like, you know, one of the camo ones. But like, I agree with you. It needs to really kind of stand out, and yeah, they could have done a bit more with that. But I kind of think it just reminds me of those, you know, the small playset kind of boxes, like the Checkpoint specifically because of the tall aspect of it. So I feel like there's an homage in there, even if it wasn't meant. But I kind of think it probably was meant, you know, to do that. They could have gone with like a... Because like mini-mates in the past, when I've seen them, they've been side by side in most window boxes. So I was surprised to see it that way up, but it makes sense when you look at the figures and how they're displayed. Like you said, the file cards fit nicely. I think if they'd have done it like lengthways, the door would have been longer and way more cumbersome, and you'd have had to go like, you know, quadrants, wouldn't you, with the file cards? And it might not have worked as well. Yeah, I think that this shape kind of calls attention to, or at least fits within like a comic book style. That's really what they were going for, and they achieved. I kind of think I'm trying to imagine what a second one may have on it. Would it be the same cover, or would it be a different comic book cover? Well, I was saying that I thought it might be like a companion piece that kind of like side by sides. So if you had them next to each other, it would like match up. And but this is a call out to issue number 1, isn't it? It is, different characters on it. I mean, it is, maybe in issue 2 would be more Cobra-like. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like a Cobra vehicle, and then maybe like Destro's head in the background, like they've got Cobra Commander's head in the background, and then like the other remaining characters that aren't on show on in the other 4-pack. Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, they could. What they could do just as easily is use the same artwork again, because Duke and Roadblock are on the front of it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That is true. It wouldn't be a shame if they did. It would just, I would hope that I could tell which was which in some way, especially if these are going to be at retail relatively quickly.
They might not even do another 4-pack. They might do two packs, and that's why we've got a Duke and a Roadblock on the front. You know, it might be like a little 2-pack box. Same with, Destro and the Baroness are going to come at some point. Let's face it. I'd like to see more of these, honestly, because I thought I was when I heard that they were getting mini mates, I was kind of like, oh really, okay. But then when I saw them, I was like, actually these look really cool. I don't know, there must have been like some sort of design improvements over the years, but they just look really cool. And I saw the Transformers ones first actually, and I was like, actually these are pretty neat, and I wouldn't mind some of these. So when the G.I. Joe ones came out, I was almost half expecting to just be like, no, they won't be as cool, and they have been. So yeah, really looking forward to getting these in hand.
Yeah, maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves just assuming that we're going to get more than these 4.
That's another good point. This might be the only mini-mates we ever see, G.I. Joe-wise. And yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing because it's a pretty cool set. But anyway, Pat, that brings us to the end of the news. Buddy, we shifted through it pretty quick, but we still have shout-outs to do, so let's get on into that. Right, you can go first then, buddy. Shout-outs, what have you got? I think I know who's going to be shouted out, at minimum.
I always shout out Philip.
Yay.
At least I try to always shout out Philip. There was those couple of weeks where it was just like, no, I don't have any shout-outs.
It was like a lean month, wasn't it? Because you were away for a couple of episodes as well.
It was, yeah, and I was all confused and disoriented and didn't know what the show was called whenever you would point at me and say, what is it?
Full Force Weekly.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten in a lot this week, I don't think, either. Well, no, that's not true. I'm such a terrible toy buyer. I buy a bunch of things.
Same.
Oh, I bought this. I thought this was cool. I saw this yesterday in the store and just it was $1, so I bought it. How cool is that?
X-Jet.
Yeah.
Nice.
$1 X-Jet in the Hot Wheels line. So yeah, I'm terrible. As you can see, I buy things other than G.I. Joe and Transformers behind me.
Couldn't tell.
So occasionally things trickle in like that.
I know Adam mentioned it on the last show to us in private, but he said he loved the fact that you could spot Gemini in the background from American Gladiators.
Yeah, Gemini's relatively new, too.
There he is.
There he is, yep.
But what if you probably won't know this, viewers and listeners, this is only between myself, Pat, and Adam usually, but we are massive American Gladiators and General Gladiators fans. And because obviously I've got the UK Gladiators to enjoy, but it's been on Pluto 24/7, and I just can't help myself. It's like I put Pluto on the TV channel, and there is a 24-hour American Gladiators channel, and it is one of the best things in the universe. You get to watch all the old episodes. Absolutely love it. In fact, we love it so much that we're thinking of doing another podcast, aren't we, Pat?
Yeah, I think that we should do one just on Gladiators. Not a regular. We don't need the... it's the American Gladiators Weekly. We don't need that. But yeah, it's cool because, whenever I was paying for tons of cable channels, I'd flip through and there wouldn't be much on at all at night. It would be dictated to you what you were watching.
Yep.
It'd be Cops on G4 back then. It's been how long it's been since I've paid for cable.
And not the good cartoon Cops either. It would be yeah, Bad Boys.
So having Pluto is cool because you can flip through whatever and watch it at all times. There's an American Gladiators channel. You can watch American Gladiators 24/7,
which I have done on many occasions.
They're just not in order all the time. You can't just sit down and watch from like season 1, episode 1 all the way up through.
Yeah, what I do love though is I wait for it to get to the vintage era again, and then I put it on, and then I'm just loving it. I'm not I do enjoy the kind of later episodes too, like the most recent, like the revival, the reunion kind of thing. But I much prefer that vintage era where it was like Nitro, Zap, Diamond, all the classics. I was just 100% in on that era.
Well, there's a lot of times where there's a call out to the time period too, because they'll say things like
Super
and
Nintendo.
Now Powerball, brought to you by Super Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
Love that so much. I love that so much. In actual fact, what was funny about that is that it got me wanting to watch a few more Nickelodeon things, because like obviously, I know it's not Nickelodeon, but it's like that era for me. It was like Gladiators, and it was Nickelodeon, and I remember like. I think I went on to like Paramount Plus. I think there's a Nickelodeon section on Paramount Plus. It's amazing. Watched Guts for like a bunch of episodes and was just like, it was like Kids Gladiators Guts. I loved that show. Like I desperately wanted to be on it. But yeah, that was living in the UK and seeing the American things just made me want to be in America so much.
Yeah, I didn't have Nickelodeon as a kid.
How did I have Nickelodeon and you didn't, Pat? That's
because like I said, I lived out in the country. Where I lived as a kid, they still have not run cable lines. They're still not there. You still cannot buy cable TV there.
Wow.
Eventually, satellite became a thing. So we had a ginormous satellite dish, but yeah, no cable TV. I did see it like at grandma's house occasionally, but early Nickelodeon was mostly repeats of other shows. There wasn't as much new content as much as there is now. So I don't really gravitate toward anything Nickelodeon. I don't have any sort of nostalgic feel for any of that.
That's a shame. It's one of the reasons I bought those Nerf sneakers, because they reminded me of like Nickelodeon Orange, basically. And you're wearing a Nickelodeon Orange shirt as well, and I'm wearing a Nickelodeon Orange shirt. Oh, that's slightly lighter than Nickelodeon Orange.
Yeah, it's Tiger Force.
I knew it wasn't a Nickelodeon t-shirt, Pat.
I know you knew what it was. We talked about it before we started.
Is that a Nickelodeon t-shirt? Right.
They didn't want to be like, hide it so that nobody else could see. Exactly.
Don't look at my tiger nips. Stop it. Have you got tiger stripes on the back like the original? Here he goes. He does! Oh, I'm so happy about that. That's amazing. I thought Pat was turning his back on me for a second there. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm turning my back on you. Amazing. That's good, because the t-shirt I made for Kate for her Tiger Force Outback cosplay, we also put the tiger stripes on the back, because I was just like, it's got to happen. So yeah, if it doesn't have the tiger stripes on the back, guys, sorry. You're not in Tiger Force, so off you pop. Right, my shout-outs then. To Pluto for making me watch the American Gladiators for 24 hours a day. As always, big shout-out to all the family and to my wonderful wife, Kate. Love you all. At the moment, Kate has actually flown away from me to see her family. So she's out there to see everybody, and, so big love to everyone out there. If you're watching this episode together, which I doubt you will, there's your shout out to all the fam. And come back safe, honey. It's just been me and Phoebes have been holding the fort down. So, yeah. And she's been really good, haven't you? See? She's not barking. Although usually she has to hear Justin's voice to start barking. She hates Justin. And, rightly so. He's a horrible human being. And he'll never see this because he never watches it either. So we can laugh about it. If he does see it and he has a go at me, then we'll know that he watched it. And to Brian Sauer for the awesome graphics. Also, shout out. Oh, okay, this is a big shout out. So in the post the other day, I got this amazing Red Shadows. I'll flash it up. I can't be bothered to get it out right now because it's packed away. But this amazing Red Shadows piece, straight off the cover of Jamie Sullivan's newest kind of like Enemy Forces cover for IDW. And obviously there's the segment of Red Shadows on there, but he was basically selling, prints of the actual kind of much bigger characters, which he then like drew smaller on the page basically. And so he signed that, and he signed a cover of Sierra Muerte issue 2, I think it is, his exclusive cover with Lady J, CoverGirl, and Scarlet on the front. And also a little kind of almost like a transparency of the Red Shadow in color as well. So I was just like, this is freaking amazing. Thank you so much. Not realizing that in actual fact, it was bought and paid for by the lovely Jason and Amelia Thies. So thank you so much, guys, for getting Jamie Sullivan to sign that Red Shadows ink sketch and the other stuff, and to send it to me. Really appreciate that. Lovely thing for you guys to do. He wasn't going to say anything, Jason wasn't going to say. He was just going to like, let it happen. And I was going to be like confused for the rest of my life because Jamie Sullivan was like, like, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. I sold it, so I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, it's really nice that Jason and Amelia did that. So big shout out to them. Thank you so much. Finally got Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins motorcycles from Pulse as well. Just waiting on the Wave 2 figures now. Looking forward to that Night Creeper. And I don't know why I didn't have them near me. This is good radio. It's good television as well. Hi, I'm back. So yeah, the motorcycles came in. So I'll flash them up on screen. Now, I must admit, when I first saw these on, when they were kind of revealing them, I thought, oh yeah, they look really cool, really neat. I'll just throw that on the floor. I must say, in like person, you can tell there's a little bit of like cost cutting measures going on some of these figures. I do like some of the kind of like the single carded figures, but like I'm not 100% fan of that like stark white and red on Storm Shadow. And I don't know, it's just a little bit too. I think they could have done a better job there deco wise. The Snake Eyes is pretty nice though. I'll bash the camera as well. The microphone. So they're pretty cute. The motorcycles are pretty banging as well, but they're just. I mean, they are what they are, aren't they? They're those like kind of movie kind of kids range figures and vehicles. But I am looking forward to that Night Creeper, I've got to admit. Did you get in on the Night Creeper, Pat?
I have one on pre-order, yeah. Night Creeper for sure. That was one of the figures that I really love from the vintage line. Yeah.
How excited are you to see that in some other modern format after this? Because like I really want to see it in. I mean, I don't know how it's going to ever come in retro, honestly, but I could definitely see it happening in classified.
Yeah, I don't know how it would come in retro either. I'm not sure. I was pretty happy with the one that we got in the 25th line, to be honest. So I don't know that I need it in retro unless they can really do it justice and make a new updated version. But yeah,
I'll just use the Cobra Trooper body and stick a Night Creeper head.
Please no. Please no.
I can't believe we've seen that figure 3 times already. It's unreal.
Yeah, and at this point, for a Night Creeper, you could just repaint the Red Ninja, but I think I want something a little bit more than that. Night Creeper was always, in my mind, the ninja that blended a lot of high-tech equipment with him. So that's kind of what I would like to see explored in a classified series, however it may be done.
Absolutely. I want high-tech pants. I want a high-tech shirt. I want high-tech everything. Yeah, okay, cool. So I got those. And that's actually it, I think, in terms of what I got in. I don't think I got anything else in. That's about it. It's been pretty lean couple of weeks, Pat. What's going on? I should have had, I'll tell you now, shout out to Nick at In Demand Toys. He sent me the 3-0 Snake Eyes about 6 months ago, or however long ago it was, he sent it to me. And it has just been going on this random journey between Jamaica, Queens and Providence, which is just around the corner from me. And it has come to Pawtucket, and then it went back to Jamaica, Queens. So it's just going around and around and around. And like I'll check it every now and again, and it'll be like, it's in transit. Now it's gone back to here. It's in transit. Now it's gone back to here. And I think since late July, there's been no like movement on it at all. So I don't know what the hell is going on. So
you may want to call them.
Oh, well, I tried, but obviously that isn't an option.
Yeah, I've had that happen before as well. I lost a lot of, actually it was pre-production G.I. Joe stuff that was mailed to me from China.
We spoke about this, and I was
we've talked about
very
that
upset.
It's just very hard to watch that tracking go the other direction and it be gone forever.
And this is an expensive figure, right? So anyway, Nick had to call in a claim, so he's called that in at his end, and hopefully he'll get eventually it'll usually get refunded and everything's fine. So he sent me another one. Well, he was going to send me another one, but Storm Shadow came in. So he's got, right, I've got Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes here for you. Do you want me to keep them for when you come out here? And I was like, yes, please do that. Keep them in the UK. But he has sent me a barbecue anyway. So thank you, Nick, for sending barbecue. That should be here in a couple of days. Or it should just be bouncing around Jamaica, Queens and Providence for the next couple of months. In any case, shout out to Nick at In Demand Toys, and that's why I was so excited to get that 3-0 figure, just because I wanted to do a little review and everything. And right now it's pointless because it's been out. Most people that got them have it, so it's so annoying. Anyway, that's that, and that's shout outs. So we're done. It's not Pride Month anymore, but guess what? We are still going to show our support for the LGBTQ plus community, because that's the kind of people we are. And as we say on every episode, we stand with the Asian and Pacific Islander communities in saying stop Asian hate, and will continue to do so. Follow the links in the description if you want more information or just want to do more to help. And as always, to our patrons, listeners, viewers, thank you so much for everything. We've actually got a few more patrons since last time I spoke to you guys as well. So it's going very nicely at the moment. We're getting some cool intel, sharing a lot of cool intel with you guys. And I know you're enjoying that because you're telling me. So we'll keep that going. Thanks for everything you guys do. Thanks to everyone that watches and supports us that way. We really appreciate it. Pat hates you all, but I do appreciate it. He doesn't really. Look at him. He's going, oh, for fuck's sake. Why'd you always do that? Why'd you always make me out to be a bad guy?
I don't play the bad guy so well.
No, you're wearing
not in real life anyway.
You're wearing a Tiger Force t-shirt. You can't be a bad guy.
Unless I'm Zartan.
Oh, he's ruined it. He's turning into General Hawk.
There was a Tiger Force Zartan, so.
There was, yeah. Slowly turning into General Hawk. Anyway. Okay, well, there you go. Pat is probably an evil person, so he's revealed it. Bud, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of The Weekly.
Thanks again for having me.
What is it?
Full Force Weekly.
Brilliant. That brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching the Full Force Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host, Patrick Notpicard Stewart. See you next time. And as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3, Full Force! And we got loads of people commenting on the last episode about, because I asked the question, do you scream Full Force with us at the end of the episode?
I saw that, yeah.
Everybody seems to. Everyone's like, yeah, I do it whenever I am and people give me weird looks. I do it at home and my wife is always like, what are you talking about? And yeah, so loads of people were saying that they say it along with us, so that's amazing. And also they like to do it out of sync with us too, because they find that, more realistic.
I tried to get it in sync this time, but I don't think it worked.
There's a slight delay, I think, because when I was counting, it was like 1, and you were going 2, 3. So I think there is a slight delay.
I'm just going to shout it before you next time.
Yeah, do it now.
I'll do it on 3,
1,
and then we'll see what happens.
2, 3, Full Force. No, it didn't work again.
Oh, I thought that I was going to wait for next week.
Well, that's a long time for us to stay on this call, but that's fine. We can do that.
It'll be delayed. You'll do it 1 week, I'll do it the next week. It'll be the most delay that we've ever had.
We'll start the next episode like that, where you just shout Full Force, and it'll be like, perfect. In fact, we should do that anyway. We should definitely just have you scream Full Force as the intro of every episode.
And looking very tired and just still having this shirt on after a week.
Yes.
I've been waiting to say Full Force for a week.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force!